50 Cent and Eminem aren't just mentor and mentee, they're like brothers in the rap game.
Yo, Fifth. First off, I want to say happy birthday.
Eminem, to me, is what Dr. Dre is to Eminem.
Yeah.
So to disrespect him in any way is just, you're out of pocket.
But these two also happen to be some of the most savage, disrespectful rappers out there, whether they're going at it solo or teaming up to roast someone.
Last question. I hate to stir it up, but Afrojack has been talking about you. Anything you want to say? Who? Afrojack? Who? That's what I thought. Thank you.
I understand in October you did something to get back at Ja Rule.
Yeah.
And please tell the people what you did, because this is quite
I bought like the first 4 rows in this concert. How much are the tickets? $15. I said, okay, give me the first 4 rows.
How many seats is that? That's got to be like 200 seats.
From completely ending Ja Rule's career to the point where Ja himself had to admit he lost.
Yeah, we took the L. We took the L, but you know what? People take L's. It's not the L, it's what you do, and if you keep swinging and keep fighting.
To making Benzino shed actual tears over his beef with Eminem.
Got nothing against Eminem. Eminem can rap, but I care about us more. I don't want to go through, I don't want to talk about it no more. I don't want, for 22 years, every time I do an interview, they ask me about Eminem.
These two just enjoy the chaos. So let's take a look at some of the unfortunate rappers who've fallen victim to Eminem and 50's wrath.
I'm deciding to life up. Rick, bro, I'm a life up.
First up is Ja Rule, because this whole thing really started with his beef with 50 Cent. According to 50, their issues began after his friend Troy robbed Ja Rule.
A friend of mine's robbed Ja Rule. And I'm in a club, and I see hey, what's up?
Later, when 50 and Ja ran into each other at a club, 50 tried to clear the air, but Ja wasn't trying to hear it. He assumed 50 had something to do with the robbery.
He see me kicking it with robbed him, and he feel like, oh, didn't speak to this dude because I know the kid robbed him, but I know this kid, I grew up with him.
But according to other sources, the story was a little different. Apparently, 50 Cent felt disrespected by Murder Inc. during the video shoot for his song Murder for Life. Word is, they snubbed him, and that's what really set everything off.
We had a party at Amazura in Queens, and 50 knows Black Child, he knows Caddy, was invited to come. 50 comes in the back, says what's up again, and I guess he didn't get enough conversation from Rule. Rule just said what's up and kept moving, and I think he wanted to talk to him some more than he did or whatever, and was probably a little pissed off or something. And then that's shortly after that is when he started doing little mixtapes or underground records.
Regardless of how it started, 50 didn't waste any time firing back. In 1999, he dropped a diss track called Life's on the Line, taking direct shots at Ja Rule and Murder Inc.
Murder, I don't believe you, murder. I believe you, murder.
Meanwhile, Ja Rule was skyrocketing. His debut album, Veni Veti Veci, sold millions of copies, and it looked like he was on top of the world. But things really escalated in 2000 when 50 and Ja Rule found themselves booked to perform at the same nightclub in Atlanta. What should have been a regular night turned ugly real quick. A verbal altercation broke out, and before long, things got physical.
Let me let these I ain't got to spit these clowns, these chumps.
Then, later that same year, their beef took an even darker turn. One night, 50 Cent was recording at the Hit Factory in New York when he suddenly got a not-so-friendly visit from Ja Rule and his crew.
You want to call yourself a murderer? Then you need murderers around you to make it believable.
Apparently, Ja got tipped off that 50 was in the studio and decided to pull up. Things got violent, and 50 Cent ended up getting stabbed by Murder Inc. rapper Black Child.
And I wasn't letting nobody get to their gun to pop me, know what I mean? So I started poking straight up and down. And that's the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God.
That moment pretty much solidified their beef forever. They were officially sworn enemies. From 1999 to 2002, the tension between 50 and Ja Rule kept growing. Then in 2002, 50 dropped Wanksta.
Yeah.
The song was rumored to be inspired by Ja Rule, and whether or not that was true, it became 50's breakthrough hit, climbing to number 13 on the Billboard charts.
So 50, what's the definition of a wankster, man? I mean, what is that?
Ja Rule, Irv Gotti. I'll tell you personally, the Murder Inc., the people that you see like Irv, Ja, the people that are involved in the business aspect are big.
At that point, Ja Rule knew he had a real problem on his hands, but then Murder Inc. tried to flip the script. Irv Gotti, one of the biggest figures at Murder Inc., accused 50 Cent of filing an order of protection against him and Ja Rule.
It wasn't nothing crazy. It was nothing big. It was just a little scuffle. It was nothing big.
Yes, sir.
But he felt the need, to go to the cops
and press charges.
By Mr. Jackson, that as a result of the above described conduct, informant suffered lacerations. Informant, y'all. Informant. But
50 denied it completely, and later it turned out that while an order of protection was actually filed, it wasn't 50 who did it. The police did it on his behalf. At the time, 50 Cent's reputation didn't take a hit, but things were about to get way worse for him.
Yo, I heard some dudes from over on such and such said they're trying to kill you or they're gonna get at you. I'm like, so what?
Shortly after that, 50 Cent got shot, and when he was out of the picture, Ja Rule and Murder Inc. were everywhere. 50 was completely blacklisted. Nobody wanted to touch him. It was so bad that he had to go all the way to Canada just to find a studio that would let him record.
I blocked till he fell into M and Dre's lap.
Damn! Are you serious?
Yeah, labels would call me. I'd be like, yo, if you I ain't and they'd be like, we ain't Gotti, forget it.
At that point, J. Rule thought 50 Cent was done. To them, 50 was buried, finished, no longer a threat. So when 50's comeback mixtape didn't immediately take off, Ja Rule didn't pay it any mind. But what Ja didn't see coming was that someone very important was about to hear that tape. In 2002, 50 Cent's lawyer sent a copy of his mixtape, Guess Who's Back, to Eminem's manager, Paul Rosenberg.
Like what he did for me, you can't repay that. You know what I'm saying? Like, people, they don't understand it. Like, my head didn't get big with momentum because of me and M's relationship.
And when M heard it, he was blown away. Without wasting any time, Eminem flew 50 out to LA to meet him and Dr. Dre. And well, that trip changed everything. 50 Cent ended up signing a $1 million deal with Eminem and Dr. Dre, officially becoming part of Shady Records and Interscope.
There was deals giving 1.5, maybe 1.7 million. Eminem gave him $1 million. But you got Eminem and Dr. Dre.
Now, 50 wasn't just a hungry rapper from Queens. He was being mentored by two of the biggest names in the industry, and Ja Rule was furious. To him, Eminem signing 50 was betrayal. And that's when things really started getting ugly. Ja Rule made the biggest mistake he possibly could. He brought Eminem's daughter into it.
Shut up, Em, you claim your mother's a crackhead and Kim is a known Sally gonna be when she grows up.
And if you know anything about Eminem, you know that's the one line you don't cross. In response, M dropped Haley's Revenge, where he straight up put Ja Rule on blast, and even included a conversation with his daughter in the song.
Haley, what do you want to be when you grow up, baby?
I don't know, but I don't want to grow up to be like Ja Rule's little dirty.
But that wasn't enough. Eminem and 50 teamed up for another brutal diss track aimed at Ja Rule. This time it was Hail Mary, and they weren't just dissing Ja Rule, they were taunting him. They clowned him for trying to be like Tupac, basically telling him he'd never live up to Pac's legacy.
If Pac was still here now, he would never ride with Ja.
By 2004, Eminem had officially called the beef over in his song Like Toy Soldiers, saying he was tired of the drama.
I said I tried to squash it, it was too late to stop it. There's a certain line you just don't cross, and he crossed it.
But just because M moved on didn't mean he was done with Ja Rule completely. Fast forward to 2018, and M couldn't resist taking one last jab. On his album Kamikaze, he threw another dig at Ja Rule, just to remind everyone that he still had that disrespectful streak in him.
God forbid I forget throwing jump out the window, somebody better child-proof it, cause if I lose it, we can rewind to some old Ja Rule.
And Ja? Well, his career never fully recovered. And Ja Rule wasn't the only rapper who regretted going at 50 and Eminem. Benzino learned that the hard way too.
What is the opposite of Benzino? What? A giraffe.
His beef with M kicked off over a scathing review in The Source magazine, which, by the way, Benzino co-owned. See, when Eminem dropped The Eminem Show in 2002, the source gave it a 4 mic rating out of 5. For most artists, that's a solid review. But for M, he thought it was straight up disrespect. He was convinced that he'd never get a 5 mic rating because of his race. And to make things worse, he blamed the source and its co-founder Benzino.
This battle between me and Eminem is really a situation where the hood just ain't selling units no more.
M wasn't quiet about it either. Aside from trashing the source in interviews, he also refused to acknowledge Benzino when it came time to promote his new film, 8 Mile. One time, while performing in Puerto Rico, Benzino showed up backstage for an interview, but Eminem gave him a hard pass. Benzino later talked about the snub in an interview, but he didn't just leave it at that. He followed up by dissing Eminem in a freestyle.
Angie, I swear on my daughter's life, I never met this dude. I never met this man, this girl. She is obsessed with me.
Then, later in 2002, Benzino took things to another level. He released a diss track called Pull Your Skirt Up, where he came straight at Eminem's neck.
It was Sunshine Night before you ever met Dre. That's my little career, now you owe your life to Ray.
Benzino kept the pressure on with another diss track, I Don't Wanna.
I don't care how much record you sold, you can't walk through the hood without the men in black.
At that point, Eminem was done playing nice. He responded with a vengeance. He hit back with a series of brutal diss tracks like Invasion, The Sauce, and the legendary Nail in the Coffin. He clowned Benzino's rapping skills, made fun of his age, exposed his fake gangster persona, and even mocked his business practices.
Never claimed to be no Ray Benzino, an 83-year-old fake Pacino.
Benzino wasn't about to let that slide. He fired back with Die Another Day and even a parody of Lose Yourself called Better Lose Yourself. But that's where things got real dark. Benzino crossed the line when he threatened the lives of Eminem and his daughter Haley.
Tell Haley it ain't safe no more. Daddy better watch your back at the candy store.
The hip-hop community turned against him. Radio stations stopped playing his music, fans ripped him apart, and Benzino's career started crumbling. But instead of backing down, he doubled down. Since his music was getting ignored, he started using the source as his personal weapon. He ran smear campaigns against Eminem, trying to destroy his reputation through articles and negative press.
Benzino here on the video shoot or Die Another Day, electro recording artist, co-owner Source Magazine, Eminem Slayer.
Eminem responded with another diss track, Go to Sleep. And this time, Ja Rule caught strays too. And just to rub salt in the wound, Eminem landed the cover story for XXL magazine, which just so happened to be the source's biggest competitor. That sparked a whole feud between the two publications. Benzino kept swinging with more diss tracks like Fallin' Down, taking shots at both Eminem and 50 Cent.
50 cents is falling down, falling down.
And since Ja Rule was already beefing with 50, Benzino figured, why not join forces? So he and Ja teamed up for even more diss tracks, including Untouchable. But by 2003, Benzino thought he had his trump card. He got his hands on an old Eminem track called Foolish Pride, where M had used racial slurs. Benzino wasted no time. He leaked the song on the source's website and even printed the lyrics in the magazine.
Foolish pride has a lot of things to say. You got foolish pride like you got tooth decay.
He probably thought he had M cornered, but when Eminem immediately addressed it, took responsibility, and apologized, the fans forgave him. And by that point, the hip-hop world had already crowned Eminem the winner. Years later, Benzino would apologize. But over time, instead of things cooling off, M kept throwing jabs at him. Even recently, he took shots at both Benzino and his daughter, Coi Leray.
But this doesn't bring me no joy to say. Guess that Coi Leray feeds in the toilet, eh? God!
And the pressure finally got to Benzino. He went on Drink Champs crying about how this beef has been haunting him for over 22 years. He even admitted that it affected his relationship with his daughter. Benzino said she probably felt pressured to side with Eminem since the whole world was against her dad.
Got nothing against Eminem. Eminem can rap, but I care about us more. I don't want to go through, I don't want to talk about it no more. I don't want, for 22 years, every time I do an interview, they ask me about Eminem. My daughter came into the industry figuring that, hey, I gotta be cool with Eminem because everybody's against my dad. You think that oh, nah, man.
But here's the thing. Benzino wasn't the only rapper who got obliterated. Another person was The Game. In August 2023, Eminem and Easy Mill dropped a fiery track called Realist. And while this was a big moment for Mill's debut, Eminem completely stole the spotlight, taking direct shots at The Game. One of the most cutthroat lines from M's verse went, "All the envious rappers I'd torch if I'm on a joint with them." And that is the only retort is, "I'm not played in the clubs. Put a cork in it." Only reason they still play your clubs, why? Is cause you still perform in them.
The only retort is I'm not played in the clubs. Put a cork in it, only reason they still play.
This was Eminem's response to the game's claim that M's music doesn't get played in clubs, a jab the game originally threw at him in his 10-minute diss track, The Black Slim Shady.
I never heard you in a club, I never heard you in a bar. 11 albums and 10 never got play inside of my car.
But this feud actually goes way back, way before the game even had issues with Eminem. It all started with 50 Cent and G-Unit. When the game was first coming up, Dr. Dre saw his potential and decided to sign him. But instead of pushing him as a solo act, Dre thought it would be a power move to place him in G-Unit, the rap group led by 50 Cent. At first, some people saw this as a great move that would elevate the game's career, while others felt like he was just riding 50's wave. Either way, being a part of G-Unit put the game in the orbit of some of the biggest names in hip-hop, 50 Cent and Eminem. Then, in 2005, the game dropped his debut album, The Documentary, and it was an instant success. Tracks like How We Do and Hate It or Love It took off, proving that the game had the skills, the storytelling, and the charisma to hold his own.
Like, Impala, chrome hydraulics, 808 drums.
But while his career was skyrocketing, things behind the scenes weren't so smooth. The tension between the game and 50 Cent had already started to bubble up, and one of the first red flags showed up during the filming of the Hate It or Love It music video.
And I'm gon' shine, homie, until my heart stop.
Go ahead, envy me. I'm Rap's MVP.
Reports surfaced that 50 Cent refused to sit next to the game in a car during the shoot, sparking rumors that things weren't so friendly behind the scenes. Then came the real breaking point. At the time, 50 Cent was beefing with Nas, Fat Joe, and Jadakiss, and he expected the game to ride with him. But the game had other plans. He went on record saying he had no problems with any of them, which 50 saw as a massive act of disloyalty. That same day, 50 went on Power 105.1 with Ed Lover and officially kicked the game out of G-Unit live on air.
And he came back recently from overseas and was disrespectful, man. Like the way he's like, it's like he's feeling himself, like because of how well his record is selling. It's incredible that he would come back and forget how much I've done for him.
Where does he stand as far as G-Unit is concerned right now?
Across the street or around the corner. He's not in my camp.
Not at all?
No way.
Okay.
Not after being that disrespectful.
Then he went to Hot 97 with Funkmaster Flex, where he aired out even more grievances. Now, here's where things got really wild. The game was still in New York at the time, and when he heard what 50 was saying, he wasn't about to take it lying down. He grabbed a group of gang members and stormed Hot 97. What followed was a shootout between the game's crew and 50 Cent's entourage. And in the chaos, one of the game's guys got shot in the leg.
We was busting real bullets. One of my homies got hit. He's still alive, and in jail.
Meanwhile, 50 Cent quietly slipped out the back door. A few days later, in a completely unexpected turn of events, 50 Cent and the game appeared together, smiling and shaking hands. They even made a donation to the Boys Choir of Harlem and tried to convince people that their beef was over. But of course, it didn't last. By Summer Jam 2005, the game was back at it, dissing 50 and the rest of G-Unit. At one point, he even threw his G-Unit chain into the crowd, officially declaring that he was done with them.
And I got love for New York. Now play my.
After that, the diss tracks started flying left and right, but as the game and 50's beef escalated, into the unexpected feud started brewing. This time with Eminem. In 2022, the game released The Black Slim Shady, a 10-minute diss track aimed directly at Eminem. In it, he didn't just go after M. He also threw shots at 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, and even Eminem's daughter.
Shady, don't be shady. Pick that pen up, don't be lazy.
Some people thought the track was a bold move, saying the game was one of the few rappers brave enough to go at Eminem. Others thought it was corny and desperate, like he was just clout chasing to stay relevant. But one moment that might have fueled the game's frustration was the 2022 Super Bowl halftime show. The game was nowhere to be found, despite his history with Dr. Dre and his contributions to West Coast rap.
I still got love for the streets, it's the DRE.
He later admitted that being left out stung, and during an episode of the I Am Athlete podcast, he said he felt like he was excluded because he was considered too, risky.
The reason I wasn't on the Super Bowl is because I'm not a safe artist. You don't know what game gonna do when you get up there.
So it's just like, he not safe. So they went with the safe artist.
Then, in March 2022, he went on Drink Champs and made some bold claims, saying that Kanye West had done more for his career than Dr. Dre ever did.
Crazy that Ye did more for me in the last 2 weeks than Drake did for me my whole career.
He also flat out said he was a better rapper than Eminem and challenged him to a versus battle.
And I used to think Eminem was better than me.
So what you saying right now?
He's not. Challenge. Hey, challenge it.
Game, you don't want to go versus against
Yes,
Eminem.
I do.
But Eminem didn't say a single word back. People couldn't help but say that the game was probably lucky Eminem never responded. But if you think Eminem and 50 Cent were only targeting rappers, think again. Because even dangerous people like Suge Knight found out firsthand that M and 50 did not care who they were. It all goes back to Dr. Dre leaving Death Row Records, when Dre signed Eminem and later brought 50 Cent into the fold. Suge already had bad blood with Dre, so when Eminem and 50 started making serious waves in the industry, they basically inherited Dre's beef with Suge. And Suge being Suge, he wasn't about to let it slide. He tried messing with them on multiple occasions. Take, for example, the time when 50 Cent was filming the music video for In Da Club. Out of nowhere, someone yelled, "Suge Knight is here." That single sentence threw the entire set into chaos. Suge showed up with about 30 men, reportedly members of a Mexican gang.
Why I always respected Eminem, 50, and with us. So Suge came, he had some Mexican. We from New York. You ain't never seen a tattoo on his forehead. And it's the Suge. He liked the cigar, and he trying to see what you gonna do. So Eminem, 50, everybody outside.
It was a classic Suge move, rolling up with a squad, trying to intimidate everyone on the scene. This was how Suge operated, always ready to pull up unannounced, flex his influence, and remind everyone that he was still a force to be reckoned with. Amidst this tension, Eminem was also present at the video shoot. True to form, Eminem and 50 Cent did not back down.
This is when I knew Eminem was real. He's like, I don't give a man. This is when I knew, I'm like, damn, Eminem is a real 50 what's up?
Suge Knight came to the video shoot, in the club video.
I remember that.
He was shooting in the club video. Shit, somebody said, Suge Knight here. I was at the bar, Gang was there. He was shooting in the club scene. And Suge came in with 30 Mexicans, like you said.
There you go.
And I just remember Smurf and 50 was like, what's up, man? What you want to do?
Then there's the story from the 2001 Source Awards. This is a story that could have gone south real fast. Eminem was there performing with his group, D12, and like any major awards show, the vibe was already tense. Normally, artists could have their bodyguards nearby at these events, but for some reason, the rules that night required bodyguards to sit separately from the artists. That left M in a vulnerable spot, which Suge and his crew didn't hesitate to exploit.
Walking to his seat, I'm standing off to the side, and M was cut off on his way to his seat, and all these guys in red shirts surrounded him. And I'm looking at M's face, and I'm looking at these guys. I'm like, right.
According to Eminem's former bodyguard, Big Naz, things got sketchy fast. M ended up surrounded by a group of intimidating guys wearing red shirts, a clear signal they were affiliated with the Bloods, the gang Suge Knight was known to have ties to. Big Naz quickly realized something was off and sprinted across the venue to get to Eminem. He said it was obvious these guys had been sent by Suge.
He said, Death Row, this Death Row about, this Death Row life. I was like, Death Row, what does it got to do with him? He said, hey man, Suge sent him a message.
Eminem mostly stayed quiet when it came to Suge Knight, and in his 2004 track Like Toy Soldiers, he explained why. In the song, M revealed that Dr. Dre personally told him to stay out of the drama with Suge.
They told me stay out, this just wasn't my beef, so I did. I just fell back, watched and gritted my teeth.
So even though he had plenty to say, he had to bite his tongue and play it smart. But fast forward to early 2025 and out of nowhere, an unreleased Eminem diss track from the mid-2000s leaked, and this one shook the hip-hop world. The track, titled Smack You, was so ruthless that fans immediately started debating what would have happened if M had actually dropped it back then.
Open my door, no speed of ever wrote.
Some believe that releasing it would have put him in serious danger, while others are calling it one of the hardest diss tracks ever made. In the song, Eminem went straight for Ja Rule's neck, clowning him for his height and taking shots at his parenting. But then, he turned his aim to someone even more dangerous, Suge Knight. M accused Suge of being responsible for the deaths of Tupac and Biggie.
Holding Suge responsible for the deaths of the two greatest rappers to ever grace the face of this planet.
The fact that Eminem was willing to drop this track and take on one of the most feared men in hip-hop history just proves what we already knew. Eminem was never afraid to stand his ground, anytime, anywhere.